start. CSS, yeah, I'll upload it there, and then maybe the others who will not be there, I'll share the link. I will be recording actually as it goes from those. So introduction to CSS. We said CSS in full is cascaded style sheet. CSS is about making the web beautiful, adding the colors, and just make it appealing to the eye. HTML does the structure, it gives the structure, but now in HTML alone is all black and white text. It's just black actually, not even white. The page is white and the text is black. So here comes CSS to give you colors, to give you the responsiveness, the devices that you are using, the website. This Google Meet here, as CSS has been used to create these kind of boxes that we are in. As you can see, each one of us has their own boxes here, and this is CSS. It gives us that the ability to do that. If tungekuwa only tunatumia HTML, we will not be able to do this. Ingekuwa to plain text. So all these colors and boxes are CSS. So let's go to the second slide. So what is CSS? We've said CSS is in full is cascaded style sheet, and let me admit, cascaded style sheet. Oh, do something. Actually, let me think about to make it open, and let me see. And I don't really know how to do that. Maybe it can show video. Yeah, I don't know. So some other time maybe. So let's continue. We are saying CSS in full is cascaded style sheet. It's a language that describes how HTML elements are displayed. So how HTML elements are displayed. Think of HTML as a structure, CSS as the style. It gives you the colors, the fonts, the good layouts, the typography. You don't just type something, you type something that when the user sees it's really catchy. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So you want your website to display, or to the user to interpret your text and images when the first time is visiting your website, to be able to interpret it just by looking at it the first glance. So Alid, yes? Nakusikia. Unashrub vibaya, asi unashrub una break. Ni wewe shida ile kompyuta yako imerudi. Sawa, tutakuwa tu kwa history. So let's talk about the history. So everything has a history. Now also CSS has a history. So in 1996, by Hakon Lee, who was working with Tim Berners-Lee, you have heard of Tim Berners-Lee, the creator of this W3 is www, World Wide Web Consortium. So World Wide Web, World Wide Web. So CSS solved the problem. How do we make web pages look nice? with HTML, as Miriam introduced last week. Yeah, Davon and Anthony are not here, but we know HTML is all text, black text. You can only make them larger and smaller, but as per the tags that we are giving, H1 up to H6. So CSS solved the problem. How do we make web pages look nice? Before CSS, HTML used something like font tags. Yeah, we don't have those nowadays. Yeah, don't know if we have them, but I think we don't. Something like this, but it was not really flexible. So CSS separated content from design. So content is HTML. HTML is where you put all the content, and then CSS is where now you style it separately. So yeah, that's the history. Why is CSS important? CSS is important because we control colors, fonts, layouts. It makes websites responsive. You can view this Google Meet on your phone. I'm using my desktop. I'm still viewing it, and I'm seeing it's just okay as the way I view it on my phone. So that is called responsiveness. It is responsive in all devices, phone, tablet. So that is CSS. There's a property we use for that. I use styles across multiple pages. Yeah, you can use the same styles in multiple pages because you can use a separate file for CSS. We'll see that just a bit. Sorry. Better user experience. Yeah, and as I've said, a page is worth 1,000 words. So when the user visits your website, anataka kuinterpret what's going on by just looking at the page, not necessarily then they put a lot of stuff. Just by looking, the user should be able to interpret what's going on, and CSS plays a major part in that. Syntax. CSS syntax, as all languages have their way to be written, have their way that are written, CSS also has a way that it is written. So for example, CSS is written in this manner. Property, you specify the property and you give it a value. So property, you give it a value, and you also must specify the selector. When I say selector is what you want to give it, the property and the value. So for example, the property can be color and the value red. So what do you want to apply color red to? For example, a p tag or a paragraph tag in the HTML file. So yeah, that's the syntax. We look at it just a bit as you get into the practical. Morgan, I believe you are good. Nice. So you've not touched. Yeah. Okay, let me repeat that because we are not even far from that. Just history. I was saying about history that CSS was introduced in 1996. That was about the history, and they introduced it because they wanted to make the web. They wanted style in the web, how to make it more beautiful in 1996. So yeah, that was just about the history. Now the main part, or the important part, is here, the syntax. How CSS is written. First of all, you specify the selector. By selector, I mean the HTML element you want to give a style. For example, you want to style a paragraph. You specify that particular paragraph and give it a property and a value. By property and a value, I mean CSS has properties, and those properties have their values. For example, one property I can say is color. Color is a property, and a value that you can give color. It can be red, it can be blue, it can be green. So color is a property and you give it a value. Now you want to specify unataka color nini, you want to select, for example, in paragraph. Actually we are here. Now let's go into the practical. I'll share my screen, my VS Code. Let me first create a folder. Give me a second. Let me create a CSS folder. I'm sharing my VS Code in a second. Share and create a folder. So these ones do not mind whatever is on the screen. Let me open a new folder. Okay, a bit this a minute. Kuniacha matani mtani. Let me create the folder and we call it something like CSS. Mbona ina load sana? Okay, here we are. Sorry for that. So I'll create a file here. First of all, I'll create a HTML file. I call it index.html. These are convention, you don't have to. You can name it anything. But mostly people like calling index, but you can name it anything. And then let's create a simple HTML file here. So we have HTML, and then it's a number. Okay. DOC. Or small this way. Then nice shortcuts. A basic one. So let us just, thank you for that, David. So let us just edit the title and say CSS intro. And then in the body now, I can put maybe H1 as my first element. And then I type here, hello world. So this is my first page. So let me try to view it. Let me view it with live. Let me open the live server. So that way. So let me see. Okay, I think I shared the whole screen first. So let me just share the entire screen. So you can see here. Can you guys see hello world? Yeah? Can you see this? Hello guys. Hello, you can see hello world. Yeah, that's from where? That is from our, this is what you've written. Now what you want to do, we want to implement, we want to style this hello world. And you know there are three types of styling CSS, how to add CSS. The first one is inline CSS. What I mean by inline is that you style the element in that particular line. So let's come here and try to implement inline CSS. I'll come here and do this. Let's check the syntax again. You specify the style, and then you give it a color. Let's give color red. And then let me save. Let me go back to my browser. And then here it's red. Now that way we've applied inline styling. Let's go again and try to apply. Normally, actually, what we'll be doing going forward will be external CSS. So let's implement external CSS as we also go forward. So external CSS, I create a file here. I call it maybe styles.css. And then what I do, let me remove this. Yes, Devon. Do you have a question? Okay, so what we do here now, I'll create another file. Let me rename it style. And this is I want to implement external CSS. The first one that we wrote it inside here is called internal CSS. Not internal, inline. This one is inline and this is external. So now I want to be writing to this styles.css. So I want to be writing external as we go on forward. Okay. So let's check the syntax for external. So when you want to write an external file, first of all you have to link the file. You have to tell HTML where the file that you are writing CSS is located. Use a link tag. This is a link tag, and then it has an attribute here called rel. Its value is style sheet, and then href or maybe reference where the file is located. So I'll come here. The link you place it at the head, inside the head. So type link, and then Where is it located? It's located in styles.css. Now let me go back to styles.css. Now when I write whatever in here, this HTML file will be able to interpret whatever I write in styles. So for example, we want to style the H1 element, you see. So I'll come here and specify which element I want to style, H1, and then I do it like this in a set of curly braces, and then I specify the property which is color, and then I give it a value of, let's say, red, that way, and then I save. Let me go back to our browser and see if it's applied. Let me reload, and you can see our color is still red. Let me change it maybe so that you can feel the difference. Let me change it to green and save, and then let me go back and you can see it's green. So whatever we are writing in the styles.css file is being interpreted by our index.html file. Up to there tuko sawa. Aya, let's proceed. So we've already talked about how this is a selector, and this is a property, and this is the value. And also Morgan, you can see the camera ile Figma, you can also play with it. Oh, okay, so this is a selector. Selector is what you want to apply the color to it, and what you want to apply the CSS to. In this case, I've said I want to color this red. Now what is this? This is a H1 element. Now you select it. Now selector becomes H1. So H1 here, and then you give it a color of green. Color is the property, and green is its value. Yes. H2, we do not have H2 currently here, but also H2 is the selector. The selector is only what you want to apply CSS to. For example, if you also add H2 here and say intro to CSS, and I save it. Let me go back to our browser and see before we apply anything. As you can see, it's just black. Let me go back to our styles.css. Let me come back here and say H2, and then in a set of curly braces I also say color, and then I specify red, and I save it like that. Now when I go back here, you'll see it has become red. Yeah, now that way. Now in CSS we have so many properties. For example, I can increase this size more than this. This hello world, I can increase it. Let me try to increase it. The property for increasing size is font size. And then you can say maybe larger. You can choose from here. You can say you want a larger font. And then let's come back here. You see it has become small because the font here H1 is greater than this larger. So you can also specify now, because we are dealing with H1 is already large. You can specify maybe 200 pixels. In CSS, also what I forgot to say, we measure sizes, length in pixels. We also measure there's another called EM and REM, mostly used, but the one mostly used, which we'll be using this session, is pixels. We measure sizes with pixels. So if you want to measure the size of a font, use pixel. So now this one you compare 200. Let's go and see how that looks like. So this is how it looks like. This is now 200 pixels. Hello also before we continue also, this whole page is the body. This page is the body of your HTML and also the page. This page is the body. We can also style the body. We can also come here and say body and give it also a property of color and give it a value of blue. And come back here and see what. Okay, I can change color. Let's see body. Let me try this tab. Okay, seems you somewhere to become a random. Let me open it again. I don't know inasema hapa. Let's open it again. If that's the issue. Okay, let me open it again. Because what I'm anticipating it to do is it should change the color of the page because the page is the body. So, but still, anyone knows why it's not changing the color of the body? Anyone? Anyone? I thought ni server, but naona server iko sawa. Okay, we just continue. Let's continue. Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Color. There's something else I want to mention, very important, and to explain why it's not working as we want it to work. Now, there's color and there's background color. There are two different properties. One is called color, the other one is called background color. Now, if you want to change the color of a background, for example, a page, you use background color. But if you want to change the color of a text, for example, as you are doing here, you are changing the color of, where is it? So you are changing the color of the text. This is a text, this is a text. Now we want to change the color of the page. We don't use color again. We use another property called background hyphen color. And check the spelling very well. Color is not U, it's COLOR. So background color, and I give it a blue color. Then let me save. Let's go back to our page, and as you can see, our page is now blue. So yeah, so you have to know the difference between color, background color. Color, I've said it works with text, background mostly text. Background color is the background, for example, a page. So you can just remove that. Any question up to there? Okay, nice. This is flowing. We like this. So we can also just maybe reduce this font or just leave it as it was, so that we can have something nice. This way, I've removed the font size. So let's continue here in quiz slide Z2. So common CSS properties, colors. As you can see, we've talked about color and background color. So color is really common because everywhere, every designer, front-end developer wants to find good colors that will please the the user of the website. So colors are really important, and we'll be using them almost all the time. Also text I've only introduced font size. I've not introduced font family and text align. So first let's go and see font family. So what is font family? Font family is the type of font. You know, by default, HTML gives you this font is Times New Roman. If you've encountered Times New Roman before, you'll see that it looks like Times New Roman, this one here. So we can also change it. Maybe we want Calibri, we want Arial, we want Poppins, we want Roboto, maybe we want sans serif, maybe we want, there's so many colors. And also how you can maybe find a color, you Google. I come here and Google fonts. When I Google fonts, I come here and see, let me just go here. I'll see also many types of fonts. You can see this one is Roboto. This is how it looks like. If you like this, you can implement it. You can use it in your site. There's also this one called bit count. You see how it looks like. If you want, now this is interactive. You may want a user to see things this way. Depends what you're building. We have Open Sans. We have Sus Mono. Sus Mono also. Monsterrat. We have Intra. We have Poppins, the one I was saying. Lato. We have Roboto. I've said Roboto. All these sorts of, all these Unito. Unito is also a good one. All these sort of fonts, you have to find a way to play with fonts in a way that it becomes catchy. So in our website here, let us maybe change the family of this font. Let's make it, as you can see, the beauty of VS Code is that it gives you some examples. So let me use Calibri ile ya document. Let me use H1 Calibri. As you can see, it has changed. Now it's not like this one. You know, the H and all, the letter L, they're not the same. So because it has applied Calibri, so this here is Calibri. You can also change it to Arial. You can change it to any sort of font you want. But if it is not inbuilt, again, by inbuilt I mean that if it is not here, for example, if I type Roboto, it's not here. You'll have to import it from Google. How do you import that? Let's just demonstrate it so that in future you want to import, you just come here. As tuli Google sazile Google fonts, wacha tutumie hii. Wacha tutumie hii, inakuja sana, tutumie okay, tutumie Roboto. So Roboto, let me say got it. And then how do you get the Roboto font? Now you say get font, and then now come here and say get embedded code. Now the link, this is the link. So you copy this link here. So I'll copy this link. And also, you can see here the weight. The weight is some sort of, you can say, we'll talk about weight. Let me just leave it at it. So I copy here this one. Make sure you copy this link, and then come in your HTML. Up here where the link, on hapa tuliweka the first link, enda chini and then just paste. Ni refu sana, si sana hata. save it, and then I come here and say, let's use this, the second one. Here kwanza tulisema tuweke tulisema Arial. Now calibrate, used to calibrate. Nice. The second one here let's use Roboto now, the one we've imported from Google. So I'll just say Roboto. It does not suggest you, but just type Roboto since you've imported it, and let's see the change. Now as you can see, they've all changed. You can see Hello World has changed, Intro CSS has changed. You might say it looks the same, but it's not the same font. It's not the same font. This is Calibri, this is Roboto. And also, as I had said, backup, I think, to Pamoja maybe. If there's any questions about that. If there's no, yes? Yeah, we have some inbuilt fonts here in the VS Code that you can use. For example, Calibri is just here, we did not import it. But now, if you want to use fonts, there's kuna fonts, there's fonts that you see in websites. Unashanga alitoa hii font. Basically, alitoa kwa Google Fonts. Just copy here and you import it like from Google servers. So, like Roboto, if you want to make use of it, you import it. Even there's this one here. Maybe you'd want your website to have this one, to have where use it. Maybe there's a reason you want something to say. In a link your website valid, you want to, maybe there's a reason you want this font. So you come here and take this. Because here icon is not in this one. Very sure. So there's a lot of fonts. Unaweza pitia tu uangalie gani mzuri and then you implement it. So yeah, that's it about font family. Also the next thing is font weight. The weight of the font uzito. Nikisema weight pia tunaweza sema unono, boldness. So let's come here and say font weight, and then you can give it some sort of values, or you can just give it bold. And then let's say H1. There's no difference because H1 it comes already kama iko bold, so you not see a difference. So in order for us to see a difference, we come back here in our index.html and create a paragraph tag and say, hello there, I love this stuff. I love this stuff. So let's see. So this is first of all, if you do paragraph unican, small, right? Really small. So we want to apply some stuff on this paragraph. So let me say I want to since we are talking about font weight, so I want to make this bold. So I come here and select the P tag and put it in curly braces and say font weight and give it bold, and then I save it. So when I save it, I'll come back here and as you can see, imekuwa bold. So the change is visible. and that's how you can apply boldness in a font. Okay, let's go back to our slides and see. We also have text align. Text align, basically we talk about alignment, where you want your text to appear. For example, maybe you want your text to appear at the center of the page, or at the left, or from the left, or from the right. The way you do with Microsoft Word, you can also do it here. So I can come here in my paragraph and say text align, and then give it, maybe say I want it to appear at the center, and save it. And we come back here, and as you can see, imetoka huko haiko hapa katikati. Hey there, I love this stuff, man. I love this stuff. So imetoka from the left up to the center. So that is now the alignment. You have the right, you have the left, and you have the center. We can maybe align this. Align this to the right. Align this to the right. Come here and see. So it starts from here. I go to the right. So you see, hello world. Now that is alignment. Text align. Use the text align property to kucheza na alignment. Tumesema tuko na left, tuko na right, tuko na center. Yeah, tuko na zingine, but for now those three zimetosha. So let's come here again kwa our nini. What the fuck? Wow, hey. Nashangaa hata mouse imepotea, imeipotea. Ilikuwa imepotea ndio imerudi. Yeah, so we talk about, let's go to tumeangalia colors. Actually colors tutakuwa tunatumia sana. Also text, you know, there's a lot of browser lazima ikuwe na text. There's something you have to write. So yeah, mostly lazima uandike kitu kwa browser. So you have to know how to style the text. Tumeongelea font size, font family, text align. Yeah, there are also other ways to work to kucheza na text. But hizo times we've introduced 3. Actually 4. We've also introduced the weight and the weight here. So we come back here to the third one, box model. So box model, I want to introduce something here. Yeah? I want to introduce something called a div. Actually, Miriam talked about it also. A div. So a div is a container, some sort of a box. And what a div helps us do is that it helps us wrap elements inside boxes. So for example, I want specific elements. For example, I say nilitumia an example of this Google Meet, these boxes here. So these boxes can be example of div, a div. So whatever is in these boxes, unaona there's an image, tunaweza analyze hii kitu hapa tu side. Tujue iko na kwanza iko na microphone. profile iko na some sort of image ama avatar. Ni image tu. Image ukipost image itapia hapo kama ya div. And then kuna the name. So all these are in this box. So you can say maybe this guy used a div here, a container. So hapa tunasema alitumia div. These are divs. They gonna these all stuff all in one box. Now we can use a div here in this case. Now maybe I want to put some kama tu hiyo hapo. I want to put an, should I put an image maybe? I want to know an image. Let me just put text. Yeah, let me just put text. So I can put elements like a paragraph in a div. I can put any sort of elements in a div. So I can say that put a paragraph and say here now. Say here I did not know CSS is this interactive and beginner friendly. So you can put that there, and then I can also put one indicate paragraphs. Let me put 2 paragraphs. We'll copy this one, and then we just paste. We just put 3 paragraphs. I want to demonstrate something. Just let me just put 3 paragraphs into this div. So let's go back and see how it is. So as you can see, actually paragraphs zote zimekuwa aligned to the center. You know why? Because here we selected paragraph. We did not specify which paragraph. We said all paragraphs. Now that's where we want to introduce also another concept, but let's first finish it. Div. For div, we said is some sort of a box. Miriam. Okay, nice. Before me join, then you can join. Yeah, that's good. So tunaongelea CSS. I hope you will catch up. Tulikuwa kwa div. These elements uliongelea last time. So tunazi style tu. Tumestyle hii h1. Yeah, this is our external CSS file that we are using to style. Yeah, so tumestyle h1, h2, and also this paragraph. Now we want to see how we can work with the divs now. Yeah, so as I was saying, we selected all paragraphs, and we said all paragraphs have to be bold and they all have to be at the center. So nikikuja hapa niweke this paragraph na nikopi, niweke 3 paragraphs here, ita-interpret I want all of these to be zifanyiwe what? The paragraphs, because hii inamaanisha all paragraphs. Ndio maana tukikuja hapa all paragraphs are at the center. Even though maybe we did not want that to happen, but that is how it interpreted it. So yeah, that will tackle about how to specify a bit after these divs. So I want to work on the divs. So I'll come here and also specify div and then curly braces that way. Now the divs also have their own properties that you can work with. For example, one of the properties, margin. We have margin. We have, let's come back to our slides. See, we have margin, we have padding, we have border. So for example, if I want to, nataka kuweka border kwa hii div yetu, nataka kuweka border hapa ndo nijue hii ni div na hii haiko kwa div, hii ajua iko, hii ndo ziko. Nataka kujua, so nakuja hapa nasema border, let me say border radius. Border radius na naipea a size. Na tumesema sizes we measure in pixels. Mostly pixels. We have other ways of measuring, but we'll be using pixels in this session. So I can give a border of 10 pixels. And let's see what's going on. Okay. So our border is there, but does not have a color. So yeah, you cannot see it here. But if you want to check, you can always later on that. So yeah, our border is there. I believe it's there. So let me just believe. But now I want to give it a color. So I come here and say border color, and say let's give it a red. Red tunaitumia sana. Color red. So let's come and see. Hey, tena haiko. What is missing? Hey. Yeah. Actually, it must, lazima itoke frustration. Ndio pia tuko na hizo points like, tuliweka hii mara ya kwanza ikakata. Hata ukienda kujaribu na kunasema ilikataa juu ile session pia tuliweka hii mara ya kwanza ikakataa, tukaweka hii ikakataa, tukasema tunafanya aje tena. Yeah. So nani anataka kutupea idea? Actually kuna kitu moja hapa na ndio tumeacha. Ni radius. Border radius ni hiyo yenye inazunguka hii. Inaitwaje? Inazunguka hii nini? Hapa like chenye inazunguka hii ndio border radius. So kuna kitu tumeacha pia. Unaona, you have to specify the style. You have to specify the style kama ni solid pia, and also the width. Actually the width of the border, I believe it's 0 at first. There's a way you can right click here, you can inspect. There's a way tutakuwa tunatumia sana tukisonga. Una right click, alafu na inspect, alafu na kuja hapa kwa styles. Unaona styles hapo, hizi ndo styles. Ukiangalia vizuri ni zenye tuliapply bold tukaweka kwa center. Alafu ukiangalia vizuri kuna some sort of box here. You can use this one. Kuna hii ya kuselect. This is a selector. If you click here, you can select which element you want. For example, select here, as you can see, don't think, mnaona kweli? I don't think kama mnaona wameandika div. I hope mmeona vile nimeclick hapa. I want to see the properties, so na confirm kama indeed zimekuwa applied, na nikiselect hapo naona ina select all three, but nikirudi juu ina select only one, but hapa nikirudi hivi ina select all three na inaandika hapa div. So div naweza nikiclick hapo nitaona properties za hiyo div here. So div tumeipea 10 pixels, tukaipea a color of red so far, and also isn't by default, it's block. This is by default, and as you can see, this is a box. This is how a div looks like. We'll talk about that later if the time allows here. But here, this is how you can see the styles. So yeah, nilikuwa nasema hatujaipea a width and a style. So let me, unajua kuna shortcut of doing this. So this is the longer way of doing this. I'm kind of not really getting it, but style, I believe style, you have to specify the way that it inafaa ikue iappear. If it is dotted or solid, wacha tutumie dotted leo, and then to save tuende tuangalie tena. Morgan siwe hapo iko sawa. Yeah, I hope mmefuata hadi hapo. Tulianza na radius, tukaipea 10 pixels, tukaipea color red, na tukaipea style. Radius ni icon. Nakumbuka Figma jana ukiweka kona radius. Yeah, so kona radius is just the border radius. Yeah. So as you can see, radius are a bit nini, haziko sharp, ziko round kiasi, so in your radius. Yeah, so tumeipea 10 pixels. Also another thing, you can specify the width, uzito wake, like how large should it be. For example, we come here and say border width, and say maybe it should be 5 pixels. Ikue 5 pixels width yake, unaona imeongezeka, imekuwa a bit, imeoccupy more space than ilikuwa inaoccupy before. So the width has kind of grown. So yeah, that's how we've distinguished this is in a div and this is not. And also, so hapo kwa border tuko sawa. Hizi ndio property tutaongelea kwa border. Kwa border tuko sawa. Yeah, you specify the color. Also this radius unaweka tu kitaka. Unaweza itoa. Ukitoa, ukirudi uangalie, hiyo itakuwa imetoka, hiyo rounded corners itakuwa flat. So you can leave it this way, but what is a must is the style here kwanza. This to tell the HTML what style should you give it. For example, now tumetumia dotted, tunaweza tumia solid. Solid inamaanisha don't apply any hizo dotted and stuff, just give it to be plain this way. You can see. So this is solid. This is solid. So that's all about the border. Ni kama nirudishe tu dotted inanibamba ikiwa dotted. Yeah, that was solid yenye ilikuwa haina dotted. Yeah, that was solid. Okay, so that's all about border. We are tuna apply nini na div. So bado tuko kwa div bado. The next thing tunaweza angalia kwa divs ni padding. Padding. So what is padding? Padding is just the space. It's just the space sina terms poa za kusema. I just nitaielezea tu nikionyesha. So unaona hii space yenye iko hapa juu, hapa round, hapa chini. Padding ni space ya ndani. Hii space ya ndani hii ndio padding. I don't know kama unakumbuka ukiwa find the area of the shaded part. I can draw here. Okay, me see a good artist, but najaribu. Yes? Hey. Yenye iko Figma gani hiyo? Oh, hiyo pen tool. Unaweza chora pia nayo. So I can say this is our box, this is our div, this one. So I can call it a div. What? This is our div. And then now, this one inner here, let's say this is our text. These are B tags. Those paragraph. So now these are div. So chenye nilikuwa nasema padding is, this is padding. Padding. This is padding. All these, hii space ya ndani ndio padding. I hope mmepata sasa clearly. Because a div is a box. Na hii ni chenye tumeweka ndani ya box. Sasa padding hii space ya nje. Sasa kuna type unaweza taka kuongeza space ama kureduce. Hapo ndo unatumia padding. Ukitaka hii space ikuwe kubwa ama ikuwe ndogo, use padding. I hope it is clear. So let's go back here in our example. As you can see right now, let's go back in our VS Code. And now nikuja hapa niseme padding. There's top, left, bottom. As you can see hapa, hapa ni right, hapa ni top, hapa ni left, hapa ni bottom. So unaweza increase ya juu, unaweza increase ya huku, unaweza increase ya huku. Unaona? So nitakuja hapa niseme padding top, and then I give it maybe of 20 pixels. Then let me save it. Then I come here. As you can you see the change? It's like space imeongezeka. hata haisukumi chini, inaongeza. Naona inaongeza, inakuwa hivi, alafu inafuta hii. Si ni raba mwini, isi raba. Oh, raba ipo wapi? Kitu ina raba. Sawa, tutaitoa manually. Naitoa. So imeongeza 20. So inakuwa hivi. Lakini ukijua hata hiyo ni a bad illustration actually. So hiyo ni a bad illustration. Unaona hii lens hapa hivi haiendi juu. Nitaieleza. Hii haiendi juu. Cha inafanyika ni hapa inaongezeka. Ndio nikisema hii inaenda juu, itasukuma ile text iko juu. So hii haiendi juu. Chenye iko hapa ndio inaongezeka. So pia inakuwa hivi. So pia inakuwa hivi. Chenye iko hapa ndani ndo hiyo space tu ndio inaongezeka. Hapana. So tuweke hapo chini. I hope zinafanana. So unaona hii ndio inaongezeka tu. Hii kitu hii hapa hii border haiendi juu. So chenye inaongezeka tu ni space. So I hope that is clear. Nilisema hii inaenda juu, hapana, haiendi juu. Hii space ndio inaongezeka. So as you can see iliongezeka. Na juu nataka ikuwe more clear, acha niipe 40 pixels. Padding top 40 pixels. So unaona iko a bit more clear. Hii space inaendelea kuongezeka. Unaona? So tunaweza eka pia ya chini, tuweke chini 50. Padding bottom 50 pixels. Unaona imeongezeka, iko hivi. Tunaweza weka left na right pia, but since kuna space kubwa haitaonekana vile. But now I think now you get it. So yeah, any question maybe? Any question? Yeah. Kind of flow. Miriam kind of flow. Nice. Tony Devon umenyamaza suddenly. Yeah, so so margin is kind of the opposite of padding. Space ya ndani ni padding, space ya nje ni margin. Na mtu anataka kujua. So space ya so space ya ndani ni padding, space ya nje ni margin. So tukikuja hapa, I hope mmepata margin tumesema ni opposite tu. So space ya nje ndio tutakuwa tunaongeza. So sasa iko hivi, naona imekaribiana na hii. Tunaweza ipea margin top. Kuja hapa tuseme margin space ya ndani, margin ni space ya nje. Hata nje na huku pia, huku left na right. So sijui kama, so tujaribu tuone, tukiweka margin left tuone kama itatutoa karibu na ukuta. Margin left tuweke 50 pixels. Naona imetutoa karibu na ukuta, sababu margin ni space ya nje. So imetutoa karibu na ukuta. Haya, tunaweza toka pia side ya right. We say margin right, tuweke pia 50 pixels. Kikuja hapa pia imetutoa side ya right, space ya nje ndo tunaipea, tunaongeza. Initially maybe ilikuwa 0, so tunaipea 50. Tunasema move away from the margin, 50 pixels away from the left margin. So he left, tuna move 50 pixels away from the top. To move 50 pixels away from whatever is at the top currently, which is this. And then to the right we are 50 pixels away from the right. So yeah, that is margin and padding. So tumeongelea margin, padding and border. So we will leave a tip there about divs. So any question about these divs? Nice. So layout. Okay, before we introduce layout, I just want this next. Selectors tumeongelea. Okay, nataka kuintroduce the idea of classes and IDs first. So these are selectors. Selectors na zenye tume tackle currently ni the tag selectors, this one. So just get an element maybe can exist h1, just tag it here and tunaitumia, ama b alafu tunaitumia. But the challenge comes when if now paragraph ni mingi, kama hapa paragraph ni na hizi zote, how do we again differentiate this paragraph from this? Now that's where we introduce classes and IDs. So we'll start with classes. For example, first of all, I'll give my class, this div, I'll give it a class here. So you come here in front of this one, this before the closing tag here, like you come here and then you say class and then you give it a name. Let's say we give it before, keep a descriptive name, lakini box yetu sasa ni descriptive name again. Naona nasema ni first box. Na unaona vile na name kind of naipea hyphen to differentiate characters. So this is convention. Kiona mtu ameandika first box, kuseparate two characters tunatumia hyphen. So nimepea a class name, nimepea a class name. So whenever my popote nikiandika first box itakuwa na main ni div. So wherever I write first box, basically what I'm meaning is that I want to get this div. So I'll come back here and penye nimeandika div nitaifuta. Tunataka kwanza kutumia classes. And now when you want to use a class, you use a dot. And and then the class name. And hapo tuko sawa. So you first, kama ni class hivi, the way to identify ni class, tunaweka dot mbele yake. Unaweka dot mbele yake. So ukiweka dot na uandike jina hiyo class, inakuwa interpreted as this one, this box. You mean this box. Now I'll just save it. And as you can see, there are no changes. It's just the same. So first box maliko ni div 2. So there are no changes kwa sababu the first box ni div, like ni kama tu wewe unaitwa maybe jina yako ya kwanza na ya pili. So when I call you with your second name, I just refer to you still. Yes. Is there a question? Okay. Na hii mouse kwani leo imekula tena ime. Sasa hii mouse leo inanifanya mamna time iko karibu kuisha. Nataka kuangalia class and IDs and then we close. Yeah, so class and IDs and then you close. So hii mouse yangu inaleta kichwa kidogo. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh shit. What did I say? Aya. So nilikuwa nasema like this class is just another name for tukiandika. So yeah, that's that. And also, if you want to maybe what to give maybe known as this paragraphs, maybe if you want to apply something unique, let me say maybe currently this is our class. So our class ndo tumeimplement hizi vitu zote, margin, border and all. So if you want maybe to add something in the paragraph hapa, you want to add something kwa the paragraph to make it unique. Maybe you want some unique stuff to be applied to a specific paragraph. Let me say this first paragraph, nataka ikuwe na a bit of a larger font size. So I'll give it, first of all, I'll give it an ID. So I'll give it an ID and call it maybe just weird. First P. Yeah, hizi jina ziko mzuri hata kidogo. But tutatumia tu. First P and then I'll come here. Then accessing IDs are different from classes. IDs use a hash. And then you type in the ID, so first B. And then I want this one to, its font to be a little bit larger from others, this one. So I increase its font, maybe the same font size. Increase the font size to be at least use IDs for such unique stuff. Though also while you umetumia class, you can also use here, but the recommendation is that classes utumie in a general way. For example, class kama hii tumeita class because ikona some items or some elements inside. That's why we call it a class. But this ID, maybe you want to apply a unique something like this here. What you've done, you use an ID. So yeah, I believe I'm done for today. Yeah, I know there's a lot actually CSS, but it's good we've introduced it. Going forward, we can also get a session and tackle more on it. But that's for today. That is for today. So, any questions? Any questions?